Alright, today I want to talk about my favorite Autobot medic. This is Armada Red Alert. The mold was released in 4 different colors: the original, the Power Links version, Universe Inferno, and Energon Prowl. Today I'll be mostly taking a look at the original version, and we have him here in vehicle mode alongside his minicon Long Arm. Now, part of what makes him my favorite figure is probably that Long Arm is a really solid minicon. He has, as you can see, a long arm, and it swivels all the way around, which is a pretty cool feature. And other than that, he's pretty simple, but most minicons are. And this arm is a fun play feature and just an overall nice design. So now I'll talk about the main reason why he's my favorite figure, which is that he just has features like crazy. Most Armada figures have one place for the minicon to power link and one feature that's unlocked, but he has 2, arguably 3 places, as well as some other features as well. So I'll show off the first one here, which is this place right here on the front of the vehicle mode, and what later becomes the top of this chest. So if I power link Long Arm here to the top, then you'll see that it opens just like that, and we get some nice painted details here that are revealed, some nice painted details down there, and even some paint on the inside of these flaps. That definitely feels like something you wouldn't see today on a modern figure. That's a really nice touch that makes it feel really dynamic. And when you pull back on the minicon, it shoots out a projectile. So not only does it open, but you get a nice projectile that shoots out right there, which is a pretty plain black circle with the Autobot symbol in the middle. Some of the other releases have a more painted disc right here, but the original is quite plain. But still, it's a fun feature, and that works in both robot and vehicle mode. But the other place is right here on the back, on the top of the siren. Now, if we plug Long Arm in there, we can actually move him forward or backwards for 2 different possibilities. So if we move him forwards, we get the famous sound, which is the red alert, woo woo woo. I'll hold it close to the camera so you can hear. Red alert. So that is that famous sound clip right there, which is fun. And there are also lights there if you were able to see that. And if we pull Long Arm back, then you can see that it made another sound, and it revealed this cannon right here that pops up over the top. Now, it does leave it kind of a gap here at the top when it's deployed, but it looks really great from the front, from all angles really. And if we press the button on top, then there's another projectile. And this projectile is pretty cool in that it has this little claw ending right here. In the show, he kind of uses this like a grappling hook of sorts, and it actually opens right here. So even though there's no string attached, you can kind of pretend it's a sort of a grappling hook feature. And I think it's really cool that not only does this figure have 2 hidden projectiles, but they're totally different, totally unique. This one opens, the other one's like a pretty unique disc. And overall, I just think it's a well-painted, well-engineered vehicle mode. It's very clean. The only kibble we really have is right here in the back where you can see the feet, but it's not terrible. And the underside is pretty clean as well if you care about that sort of thing. Alright, and here we have both the original and the Power Links version in robot mode. Now, he wouldn't be one of my favorite figures if he didn't have some decent posability, and for the Armada line, I would say he actually has really good posability. We get pretty nice leg movement here, really deep knee joint, and a knee is something that is kind of rare in the Armada line in general. A knee swivel as well, decent ankle mobility here, a nice back piece to the foot that helps him keep balance for being so back heavy, especially with batteries in the backpack right there. We've got shoulders that can move outwards. He has kind of a backwards movement in his shoulder right here because of his transformation. A head that can turn all the way around and look up and down as well. So we've got some dynamic head movement. So definitely one of the more poseable Armada figures. And I want to give a shout out to the Power Links version of this figure because in terms of coloring, I think he might offer the biggest improvement compared to his original release among all the Power Links figures. So for one thing, we get this nice print on vehicle mode with the word rescue. We keep these little graphics here on the side, but in robot mode you can see that he really has considerably more detail, especially because of these pieces here on the legs that are highlighted in this nice metallic red, as well as having some nice paint detail on the cross here on the top of his head, which the original doesn't have. And finally, the Autobot symbol here on the front looks a lot cleaner than the Autobot symbol here on the original Hasbro release, which you can see doesn't have great detail in the lines right there. whereas this one has a really nice detailing that really breaks up the symbol as I think it should appear. Now, like I said, this guy still has tons of great features. Both of the features that I talked about before are still accessible, which I think is genius. So on the front here, we can still peg in a long arm or minicon, and when we pull it back, we can still fire the projectile. So there is that unique circular projectile that I was talking about, and you can see more paint improvement on this one. We actually have some paint as well as the black on that projectile, which is nice. And if we move long arm here from the front to the back, then we can reactivate the gun back here as well. So if I pull that backwards, then the gun flips over his shoulder. So I think it's really nice how they designed it so that the gun kind of faces forward in vehicle mode, but also hangs over his shoulder in this really cool way right here. So this is how he would use it in the show sometimes. He would deploy it over his shoulder, and then the grappling hook would shoot out, and then he would use it. But another detail that's really cool is that you can pull this gun out of the socket right here. I'm trying to be a little bit gentle since this figure is old. And now it is a standalone gun with a 5mm port that he can then fit in his hand and just use as a weapon that way. So not only does he have two minicon ports with unique function that work both in vehicle and robot mode, but this function kind of doubles as a over-the-shoulder cannon and a handheld gun, which I think is awesome. Both of those gimmicks are just really well engineered to have play value both in the robot and vehicle mode. And that's not all for the features. In the right leg here, you can see that he's tucked away his hand attachment. So I've intentionally left this one off so that I can show you how this happens. There are two different hand attachments that you can use. They look pretty similar. This one looks a little bit more like a laser, or maybe it's a medical device, whereas the other one, which I've got attached to this red alert, has kind of a machine gun barrel-like ending. So maybe that one's supposed to be the weapon. This one is supposed to be like the medical device or instrument. But either way, I think it's really nice that they included two. That's not a detail that they had to do or an accessory that they had to pack in. I don't remember him ever changing it explicitly in the show, so that's why I say that. But yeah, I just think it's cool that there are two different things you can attach there to the left arm, so even more play value. And that's still not it when it comes to play value, because if we fold out his other leg here, you can see that he actually has a hidden minicon port here on this leg, and there's like a little screen that pulls up, which is kind of hard to do, but looks something like this. So if I kind of show it at different angles, you should be able to get a good look at it. But it's basically like a little platform that a minicon can sit on. And basically you can imagine that maybe he's repairing the minicon, or the minicon is working at this little computer that he has in his leg or something like that. So yeah, I think it's really cool that they hid play features into the leg panels here, because they didn't need to do that. You could totally imagine these just being useless kibble, but they actually have little features in there that make them fun. Okay, so in summary, this guy has two minicon ports that both have lights and sounds, that both involve a projectile, that are unique projectiles, one of those projectiles being articulated, that work both in robot and vehicle mode, and the over-the-shoulder cannon becomes a handheld gun. He also has these hand attachments that are hidden in one of his leg pieces of kibble there, as well as a little minicon hub repair center here hidden in his other piece of leg kibble. Plus, he's super poseable for the Armada line, and he comes in two really solid repaints. And really, I like the exclusive Universe Prowl repaint a lot. And so yeah, in my opinion, Red Alert looks great as a figure. He's decently poseable, great paint. Any collector of Armada would definitely want him just because he looks good, he's a solid figure. But in terms of play, he just kills it. I can't think of many figures that have this many play features that are this unobtrusive in terms of posability and just making a solid toy that an adult collector would appreciate as much as a child who just wants something fun to play with. So that's why Red Alert is one of my all-time favorite figures. He is just so much fun, and I highly recommend you get your hands on him if you can, any of these four molds, because yeah, it is tons of fun and it's just fun to play with.